Everyone, and welcome to Djuma and Arathusa Game Reserves in the beautiful Sabi Sands in South Africa. We're coming to you live, and this is Wild Safari Live. My name's Hayden Turner.
And I'm Scott Dyson.
VM on camera and Brian on camera here. We've swapped camera operators this morning, which is great for the guys to have a bit of a change as well. Scott's going to be going around the reserve this side, getting to know the roads. I'm going to head from here down to Treehouse Dam, Twin Dams, and over to find that hippo. How'd you feel about yesterday, mate?
Jeez, what an incredible morning we had, and afternoon, I guess, with all of the rain. But as I'm sure you know from seeing sightings live in the bush, when you look back on them, you often realize the gravity or the emotion behind the actual event, whereas when it's happening, you can almost get caught up in it and not appreciate how special things are. So, like you say, first thing this morning, I woke up and it was the first thing I thought about, that young wildebeest being born. So, let's hope for more lucky sightings such as that.
What about it? What else you saw? Tell these guys what you saw this morning. This is great.
So on the way from our base camp this morning, we bumped into 3 wild dog, which was a very, very, very good start to the morning.
Very, very happy with that, mate. I tell you what, I saw these guys waiting on the road for us. We were just behind them, and then they were pointing like this, and these 3 wild dogs, our wild dog that we've seen already, coming this way. They're a fair way away, but maybe they'll venture back over here. So really exciting stuff. It's 19 degrees Celsius and 66 degrees Fahrenheit this morning, so it's a very nice temperature, favourable for predators. We've still got potential activity for predators to see.
Haven't heard any alarm calls from monkeys or baboons, so at this stage we don't have any leads, and like Hayden mentioned, the wild dog that we did see on the way here were still quite far away from this actual property that we traverse. So we're gonna hope that they head you in the next few days, but just to let you know, we're not avoiding them, they're just too far away from us at the moment. Okay. Okay, let's go. Again, an update for those who weren't here yesterday on the afternoon drive. We had a massive thunderstorm, which is really great at this time of the year. We need that, and there's a lot of young animals around that rely on the fresh growth and nutrition provided by all the rain. It also creates a clean canvas, and the roads, which are a huge part of us finding animals, were a huge task that we need to perform in order to find animals, is tracking them. And when the rain comes and cleans the road of all old tracks, it provides us with, like I said, a clean canvas from which to work. So if we do find any tracks on the road today, it will mean that they were from 9 o'clock last night onwards, which does help us narrow down how long ago the animals were here. Another thing that I really love about the rain, or a drive after the rain, is the potential to see snakes. The rain often upsets them or causes them to move from wherever they may have been hiding, and it also cools them down, and now that the sun is out and shining, they may be looking for warm places to sun themselves and increase their body temperature. So if we're lucky, we may bump into an African rock python. It is one of my favorite animals. Good combination of size and beauty. And we could see them anywhere, slithering across the road, coiled up in the fork of a tree. So keep your eyes peeled. Testing, testing. I try to slow down at junctions and just have a closer look for any tracks. It's a good place to do this because if an animal wasn't necessarily walking on the road we've come down and was down a road that you may turn onto, you obviously can determine where to go at that junction depending on where the tracks are heading.
Okay folks, well we've just come down along Zoe's road here because we like to just double check on these locations where we do frequently see a couple of the leopard. It's that lovely time of the day, so we thought we'd just check that out. Again, we've got a beautiful fresh tracking morning this morning, so all the old tracks have been obliterated on the road, and the old tracks have all gone really. So what we've got now is fresh tracks, and anything that we see is potentially between about midnight last night and now, and that way you can sort of start to deduce if you are onto something and just make a plan to try and follow. It's definitely been some activity down here. If I come across some tracks, I'll try and go back to another road that we came in on this morning. Later on, after we've gone to see our hippo, if he's still there. There were some lovely hyena tracks coming down the road, and I want to show you those as we did the other morning, and just start to build our simple tracking knowledge as well. Beautiful temperature. And I have to say, seeing those wild dogs this morning was really gives you a big bounce of excitement, and hopefully they're going to return to Djuma or Arathusa, and we'll be able to see them again. They're so beautiful, and they were running through you see them running through the vegetation. You know they're on the hunt when they've got that sort of gait about them. They're really a little sort of cantering gait through the woodlands. So Scott had a fantastic day yesterday, and I'm really happy for him. He's a lovely bloke, and he's really excited about being here. Hugely knowledgeable, and just got to get to know the roads exactly like I did at the beginning. I just had to get to know the roads, and I'm still getting to know them over at Arathusa, but I'm really comfortable on Djuma now, nearly after 4 weeks, coming up to 4 weeks of being on Djuma. It's just repetition. It's just constantly going over them, knowing where things meet. Beautiful moisture droplets all over the green grass here. It's very fresh this morning. Got a really lovely smell about it as well. So our plan is just to go down to our regular dams that I've been stopping at the last couple of days, Treehouse Dam and Twin Dams, and then on to Arathusa, because that hippo is just quite astounding. That he's hung on. He's a really resilient old bull, and we all like to know how he's getting on, and I'm definitely keen to know if he's there or if he's moved. So one of the theories we've sort of come up with is potentially that the dam that he was in, Treehouse Dam here, is a little bit close to Viatella Dam, and he may, just may, have had another contact, not necessarily a battle with that other the dominant bull down at Viatella, but he may have just come into his presence and then really had to move away. So when I look out the door like this, folks, you know that it's just looking at tracks from the night before. There's some very faint hyena tracks along here. They're too faint for me to take a photograph of, but what I'll do is the other ones up the other side there, when we came in this morning, were really in lovely wet sand. So they hopefully will still be there when we come back. Nice little zebra. Goodness, the zebra mares are all in foal and they're all ready to drop. Trying to find you a nice track of a oh, that's quite a nice one just there. Very nice track of a hyena. Just have to get out to take this photograph because there's a lovely bit of sunshine on it. Now when you get that oblique light in the morning, really nice time to go tracking this time of the morning. You get the oblique light coming through from the sun at a very low angle, which puts a little bit of shadow into the track. And I'll just take a photograph of this on my phone for you and bring it up to the camera. Okay, just stand by for me. Okay. So. Lovely track of a hyena there. and you'll see the claw marks in. Really give it away for us. Sorry, I'll put my finger in front of it there. There you go, mate. See the one, 2, 3 claw marks, and the reason why we can tell it's hyena is because, I'll just pop that down now, those claw marks won't be there in any of the cats. The only cat that you'll have a tiny little impression from a claw mark is a cheetah. Now, there's other different factors in it. It's not perfect, as easy to see on that back pad, but I'll just pull that down now. One of the things that we can see is those claw marks, where the cats, the lion and the leopard, don't have those claw marks. And the reason being that they have retractable claws, and I think most people might know this, but the lion and leopard are retractable, fully retractable claws, whereas the cheetah has semi-retractable claws. And the modification there is that over a long period of time, the cheetah's claws have adapted to be slightly protruding, and it's the only cat that does that. And the reason being is that at high speed they use those claws like a footballer's studs, basically, to grip when they're running at high speed turns, and they're basically like a little bit of traction for them, or a lot of traction for them. So when we see the track, if it's a cat, there's a few other distinctive features on the lion and the leopard track, which we'll point to when we see those. But we can tell that's a hyena because of those claw marks protruding still, and it's actually more like a dog sort of track than a cat. So there's been hyena around here to last night, which is not surprising. They cover a lot of ground. They're out all night, either hunting or looking for a free meal. He's going that way. There's a couple of them actually going that way, and it could be easily the mother and the youngsters that were in that very, very close to that old den site there. I can still see those tracks running all the way down here in the sand. Hyena, hyena. So what we're doing at the moment is just called simple tracking. It's like, well, we're not actually tracking, we're just at the moment just having a bit of a look at tracks. And simple tracking is basically following a trail, picking up a trail, and just running with it. It's sort of basic tracking, and it's really enjoyable things to do. You can do it, you know, probably in whatever place you live, and look at some animals' tracks in some natural areas of where you live. It's always a nice thing, as I say, to do with your kids or a school group or something like that as well. And it doesn't have to be just mammals. Birds have got interesting ones as well. And it's something that just it gets a little bit addictive after a while, because you're always looking down, and it opens up your world, which we talked about the other day. It opens up your world, develops your understanding of the bush, gives you another layer to the bush, not just a visual layer, but a layer where you have to use your brain and start to come up with a couple of deductions to figure out what happened last night. It's like the bush newspaper, really. When you get down to a waterhole, if you walk around a waterhole, you can really see what's come down, what's been there, what's interacted. And when you get really good at it, and you can hang out with some top trackers like the Shangaan people, the local community that live around this area, incredible trackers, just, it's in their soul, it's built in their system. They can actually take you to the next level and tell you what happened, when it happened, and why it happened. But then, from then, when you start to follow that animal, you have to start to be more intuitive and use intuitive tracking, which is as I've said about many a time, it's a very, very enviable quality for anyone to be able to have. I just take my hat off to these top trackers that can intuitively sort of feel what the animal's going to do. Dam's topped up a little bit. A bit more water in here than there was last night, but no hippo. But still a lovely spot just to sit for a little bit. As I always say, folks, it's great just to stop and take your time and just have a little look around, rather than just driving up to a waterhole and then seeing that you can't see anything obvious and just driving off. Really good just to spend a minute or two having a look around. Yeah. Okay. Now we're listening to the radio as well, listening to see if there's any sightings on Djuma or Arathusa this morning. Many a time we hear on the radio that overlaps into other reserves. You know, there might be line or leopard, and it could have been a line that were on our reserves a few days back, and they've moved over somewhere else, and then they come back onto Djuma and Arathusa. So it's just sort of, it's a movable feast, so to speak. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Control, do you copy?
Just stopped here at WildEarthTV Dam. Dams are a lot less productive though at this time of the year in terms of a reliable source to find game. Due to all of the So questions just come in from Sharon from Dallas, Texas, and she asked me if I am a snake lover, and the answer to that is a definite yes. Certain snakes do need to be for me, at least I speak for myself, do need to be avoided or given their space, as you do get some highly venomous snakes in this area, the black mamba, the boom slung, just to name a couple, the puff adder. But some of the less venomous snakes, or non-venomous, like the African rock python, which is Sharon's favorite snake and also mine, being a constrictor, your chance of being injured or hurt by one is obviously drastically lowered. If a python bites you, yes, it will be painful, because unlike most snakes, they've got rows of teeth, almost like that of a shark. And not only are there many of them, they recurved. So when they bite onto you, they really do get a strong hold, and they can be hard to get off. But it'll be more of a nuisance and a bit embarrassing than a life-threatening or hugely painful, excruciating experience. So occasionally we do find snakes in and around the camp or various camps, and they do need to be caught and removed, and that's always a rush. If they're the non-venomous or constrictors like the African rock python, then you can attempt to catch them with your bare hands, which is very good for getting one's heart rate increased. And other snakes such as Mozambican spitting cobras, they are venomous, and again, I speak for myself, I would never attempt to catch one with my bare hands, but you do get people out there that will grab it by the tail and jiggle it about and somehow avoid being bit or spat at, spat in the eyes. But you typically find in most camps they'll have a special tool, or essentially a very long set of tongs that aid in catching snakes, so that they can be removed and released away from the camp. Yes, Sharon, I mentioned earlier on the drive, we had heavy rains last night, and often after heavy rains it does increase the activity of snakes. They may have been hiding in a log that has then become drenched with water, so they'll slither out, find some dry ground, and also some warmth from the sun. Obviously the temperature would have dropped greatly from all of the cool rain, and now they'll be searching for sunshine, which aids in us being able to spot them. So I will do my best to find one, and thankfully with VM's great eyes, the cameraman, we have got our bases covered. But thanks, Sharon, good question, and I'm glad we are both on the same wavelength with the African rock python. So Hayden will be approaching another dam shortly, and I think it'd be quite nice for you guys to be on board his vehicle to see what he finds when he gets there. So over to Hayden, we will catch up with you later.
Okay, well another dam, twin dams. We've been down this dam together many times before. Always nice just to stop in and have a little look. But no mammals, lots of little birds around. You can hear blacksmith plovers. I think they're blacksmith plovers, I can see, I hear them just over there. We did see another little beautiful bird that I'd really like to add to our list. Just got to find one that'll sit still long enough. It's called the African hoopoe, and I'm really looking forward to showing you that. And we want to find that woodland kingfisher as well today, if we can, and just get a nice shot of that. So these birds we talk about, the only reason I haven't stopped at them, or they might be way off in the distance, I want to make sure we get a nice visual on it for you. It's really important. So we've got no hippo here, we've got no hippo at Treehouse Dam. Let's go and check out the dam on Arathusa. It's going to take us a few minutes to get there. So anything else we see on the way, of course, we'll stop. Blacksmith plovers making that fantastic sound there. We've seen those before, but Brian might just swing around and see that little bird that is just there on the edge. Sorry mate, it's a bit of a bad angle there for you. He's just sitting there. Hear that? So, really nice little bird. Okay. So definitely getting a lot of water at the moment, and there's a lot of little water points filling up. The situation there is, the more water points there are around, small water points, the more opportunities the animals have to just drink from little pools of water that have settled. We just got a question from Raisa in Finland. Hi Raisa, how are you? Great to have you on board again with us, and thanks for all your great questions. And this is a really good one as well. It's asking whether she's heard that you're saying that you've heard that the cheetah's back feet are slightly bigger than the front feet. It's actually a little. If you swap that around, it's probably more likely the other way around. The front feet are a little bit slightly enlarged than the back feet. That does happen with many animals, just because a lot of the power, particularly in the cats, in the front end. It's not always the case. I mean, elephants' front feet are a different shape and a little bit bigger than the back feet because of that weight. But in a cheetah, it's normally the front feet are slightly bigger than the back feet. You will definitely see a cheetah's claw marks in wet sand, just ever so slightly. They're faint. They're nowhere near as big as the hyena, what we saw before, but they're still very, very interesting to look at. So I'll show you. Let me show you a photograph or an image of. I'll just get into the shade a little bit here for Brian, because it's a bit hard when you've got sunshine straight on these screens. Let me just grab a picture of a cheetah for you. Just give me a second. Get this up. Just takes a second to get for you. So there you go. Is that reflection okay, Brian?
Yeah, that's fine.
You'll see that they've compared here the African wild dog to the cheetah, and it's a little bit more elongated, the painted dog, but the reason why they're doing it for is you can get this sometimes a little bit confused. This has definitely got those impressions on the outside of the front 4 pads that have got the little indications that there's claws protruding. Now I'm just going to go to leopard and see there, leopard and line, no claws protruding at all, and that's a really great comparison there of the 2 different claws, and you always get that lovely sort of wave shape at the bottom of the leopard, whereas the line is much more flat across the back. So it's a nice way to compare these, and you can get loads of different apps and loads of different books that show you the comparisons. I'll just go back again and show you the cheetah and painted dog or wild dog. They're also known as painted dog, African wild dog, African hunting dog. There's a few different names for them. Just a comparison of those 4 claws there as well, much more elongated, a little bit flatter on the bottom with the cheetah, and a little bit of a kink out of that back pad. And then you've got the line and the leopard, and that's a really nice way to see that comparison. You do need to, when you're starting off, you do need to probably get yourself a little book or a little app to help you along. And you know what? It's just a matter of familiarization. You know, sometimes if I haven't seen one of those tracks next to each other for a while, or the painted dog and the cheetah, for example, you sort of have to go, whoa, hang on. And it's not always perfect like that either. That's the sort of silhouette that's of perfection there that we looked at. Sometimes you've got a tiny little impression, or an animal that's walked on not so soft ground and onto harder ground. You might just see the impressions of the claws. Now that's when you've got a top tracker with you that'll just tell you that's African wild dog, and you'll just go, how do you know that? How can you tell that? And then they'll sit with you and they'll tell you all the fine little details. Normally get a little piece of grass and go through it. Then you've got the passage of time. Now the passage of time with tracking is a beautiful thing to be able to learn about, all different indicators about how long that track has been there, what the conditions have been like, and little bits of vegetation or old vegetation that might have blown into it, which shows it's potentially like 2 or 3 hours old. All these fantastic things. It's a science. It really is a science, and just so lovely to listen to. They're absolute specialists, craftsmen that really know how to interpret their trade and get the most out of it for you, which ultimately, the ultimate goal is to track the animal and find it and photograph it, I suppose, or just have a visual encounter with it. I used to work with some Shangaan trackers back in the 90s. God, I'm sounding like an old man now. Back in the 90s. And this one guy's name, I think if I remember rightly, it was Musisinyani. And he worked with a great friend. He was actually working for a great friend that I worked with there. And it was just a great place to track, so I learnt so much. But I just got a message that Scott's got a hyena, which is brilliant, so we're going to cross to him. I'll come back to you as soon as we've got something. See you soon.
So we've just bumped into this hyena, folks. It's sniffing around very intently. I did see tracks of another hyena as we turned onto this road, heading in the same direction as this one's heading. Wow, look at this. You can see it's very focused, nose to the ground. I think it's worth us following this animal, because it may lead us to something interesting. And if not, it's interesting in itself. So let's see what happens. You see, I did see tracks. We came off the road, it's just turned on, and the tracks of the other hyena also headed in that direction. So quite interesting to see. Hard to tell why it would be following the scent of the other hyena. Maybe they're part of the same clan, maybe not. But like I say, worth our while trying to see.
Okay. So nice for us just to talk about tracks on these mornings when we've had this rain, and it's going to become more frequent, that's for sure. The rains are coming, and I know Scott's right into his tracking, and absolutely Mark is sensational with his knowledge of tracking, so might be a nice theme to carry on throughout the next couple of months. Really looking forward to getting Mark here as well, and Mark and Scott will do a handover with Pete and I, and or we'll do a handover with Mark and Scott, and Scott's very, very familiar with this area, so it'll really be great for Scott to have a little bit like for Pete and I, what it was like for me with Pete. Pete was showing me lots about the roads and giving me lots of historical things about the leopard and lion as well. So really great to have someone to share historical knowledge with you on the area. It makes you feel really comfortable, and I know Mark will be doing that with Scott for sure. Funny, I come back this way sometimes, and this is where we saw that leopard that day, just sitting down there drinking, but we still didn't get a confirmation on who he was, because we didn't really see his face properly, and he wasn't conditioned or habituated to the vehicle at all. So the guess was he was one of Karula's potentially one of Karula's offspring from one of her litters, but we just couldn't get he took off up into that vegetation there. And once I just started to go off-road, he looked over his shoulder at me, and it was that look of like, are you following me? And he kept on looking, and we just thought, that's not what we want to do. That's not how you condition animals, particularly predators. You let them see you and let them know that you're not a threat. Really quite important. Copy. So I just got word from control from Will, who is in control this morning with Alex and Peter. Peter Brat, not Pete Pretorius. He's having a morning off, the first time in 23 days. So that's fantastic, and he's having a bit of a lie-in this morning, which is excellent. And that's what's wonderful about having Scott here as well, is taking the pressure off a little bit and giving us a bit of a break. But Pete will be back this afternoon. Peter Brat, who is an incredible guy doing amazing things with technology for us as well, and an all-round top fella. But so Will just told me that Scott has just gotten off the vehicle to go and have a bit of a look to see if he can find where that hyena went. So we'll cross over to him soon as he has a bit of news there. So getting back to that point about the little water holes, I'm not talking about a water hole like those dams. I'm talking about just a little pool of water that's settled in potentially an elephant or a buffalo or anything, a wallow that was dried out and then suddenly is filled with water. Now that's an opportunity for animals to just get a quick drink from there and not have to travel all the way to a water hole, a bigger water hole. So in other words, that may make animals disperse a little bit more. It's not a big deal really, because we traverse this whole reserve as well as Arathusa, and it means that I'm talking about little things like this. Even a puddle in the road like that can be a drinking point for impala, zebra, any of the antelope, and leopard for that matter, lion even. Animals will drink from that, and so there's a lot more of these. So what we're seeing on a morning like this morning is not necessarily the concentration around the water holes, but it's absolutely fine because we just traverse a little bit more and maximize our chances. We just got a question from Chris on Twitter. Hi Chris, and thanks for your question. Welcome aboard. Chris is wanting to know whether we can identify different individuals from their tracks or their spoor. And spoor is that word, I've probably explained it not too many times, but numerous times, and I keep doing it because if anyone's just joined us and I'm using this unusual word called spoor, it's spelled S-P-O-O-R, and you don't know what it means. You're probably like, HT, what are you talking about? What is he talking about? What's spoor? Spoor is an Afrikaans word that is used very, very frequently with tracking, and it means tracks or signs of the animal. It's not just the actual footprint. It can be hair, it can be dung, it can be a feather, it can be a porcupine quill. It's the whole, encapsulates the whole sort of list of things that are signals or signs about the animal it's been there. So Chris, your question is, can we identify individuals? We definitely can. There's some, Will for example, who runs a fantastic research, a leopard research project in South Africa. He can identify individuals on his property from their footprint and particular idiosyncrasies from their footprint. I know for a fact when I've tracked rhino and elephant, they've got a particular pattern of cracks on the bottom of their feet, and if you've got the right terrain, the right substrate or soil or sand, and particularly dust, really dusty clay soils, and it's fine dust, and the animals have walked through there during the night. When you're with a top tracker and even a researcher that's very familiar with those animals, what we do is we take photographs, and you will log that photograph with the individual's little profile, and you can get that crack print just like a fingerprint to track the animal. So it's a little bit harder with sorry, I just smelt something back there. Smelt like a dead animal, sorry to say, but did you smell it, Brian?
Yep.
We're always using your senses, folks, even though our sense of smell is highly undeveloped compared to majority of the animals we're talking about. We've got a reasonable sense of smell for a primate. Just smelled a big waft of like a carcass then. See anything there, but definitely something. We'll keep our eyes on that. So, Chris, just to finish off your answer, there's definitely ways and means of telling different individuals. A little bit difficult with things like impala and things like that because there's such uniformity to their shape and size, and you really do find it difficult to do that. The bigger mammals and the cats and the other predators, yes, it can be, but you've got to have a very, very keen eye and know what you're looking for. All right, just let me, but thank you for your question, a really, really good question. I'm just going to have a look at my app here now just to tell us where we are. I want to get to Red Dam. Okay, we'll go up next second on the left. Wow, we got caught in the rain last night, folks. It was really great to talk to you last night, and those little rainy chats are quite fun. It's a very enjoyable thing for me to do, and I hope you enjoy it as well. It's just lovely, the questions that you ask, and it allows us also to go a little bit broader when we are static. And we'll always make a plan for you, you know, we'll always do something to try and get to you. The only time it will be is if there's such a technical difficulty that we can't get to it for some reason. And it might not be this side, it could be also, after we've transmitted, it can be on the other side of the world. There can be a hiccup sometimes with a part of the technology there as well. So we do our utmost, of course you know that, and all your support is always very, very helpful to us. But in those little chats on the car bonnet, it's quite good to have a nice good old discussion about all different subjects. When we left, we looked at the sky and there was a slight raindrop coming down, but we thought we'll make a break for it. Now Pete's got his sorry about these corrugations, folks, I can't get off them really. Pete's got the the Flintstone mobile cover, which is really, really functional for rain and stuff. A little bit tricky to film out of, that's for sure, for Brian, but we're trying to make a plan, and it does give us an option to do a little bit of filming outside under that cover. But I've got to run for cover a little bit, and I did get caught a couple of times. It's quite funny to have the tarpaulin beams underneath the tarpaulin, and I've got it split here like an old British racing car, and driving along. But we get there in the end, and my point was that we all travel back to camp, and the heavens opened up. So Will was sitting here with the tarpaulin out of his hands like this, the rain beating into our face. It's very good fun. The most important thing is we keep the car dry. So we strap it all down at the back, and we keep the vehicle, all the technology, dry. Okay, I'm just going to take that left-hand turn there rather than going up a bit further. And we might just get off this road because the corrugations are a little bit tricky for Brian and the camera, and you watching as well. So we'll pop down here and see if we can find our old resilient hippo bull. See if he's still in that dam. The But the rain is beautiful. It really is just fantastic. Just not when you're out in it. If it can rain between before 4 and after 7, yeah, that's really good. I'm going to put my order in for that tonight. Right, we're good. We know where we are. I love it after the rain because it's just, the tracks are so obvious and beautifully imprinted into the mud and the sand. So you will see me doing a lot of this, guys, and a lot of this, and looking over the bonnet. It's just to see if we can find a lion track for you or a leopard track. It's really lovely to see. And there's also something beautiful about it. You know that that animal's been there. You know that that animal has passed through there recently, and you've crossed paths. I remember I went for a walk in Zimbabwe once, and I left the vehicle and I had a friend with me, and we walked off, and we walked for about a couple of hours just to go and have a look along this water course. It was a beautiful river, and my footprint, which is spore, which is tracks as well, my footprint, which was very distinct, was going through the dusty road, and we walked out and came back in 2 hours, and on top of my footprint, right on my very footprints, following my footprints but the other direction, was lion tracks. So they were treading on top of my tracks. Now that's a really eerie feeling, that no, if they were coming the other way following, it would have been even more of an eerie feeling, but they were going the opposite direction. But it was just an incredible thing to see lion tracks on the top of your tracks. The lovely little elephant over here. I'm just going to see if there's some more. Let's just go and have a look and see. There might be a few others. It's a little bit far off, but I don't know how that is for you, Brian. Not very good, really, is it? A little bit back. Only a youngster. He is walking through this way, but it might be. I'm just looking, whilst you're looking at that shot there, I'm just looking around to see if there's any others. So I might just roll down and let him walk on to us. Let me just scoot through here a little bit and see if we can get a better shot. He's just behind that tree there. Feeding away merrily, getting little. I love how elephants feed. They sort of, it's like a buffet. A little bit of grass, a little bit of foliage, a little bit of bark, a little bit of tree root. Stop for a second, use your foot to dig it up. Not a very good position we're in, guys, but I can't. He might walk out a little bit further. Yeah, I think he's going to stay there, actually. We might carry on and come back and see these guys, because I think there's a few of them in this really thick vegetation. I can't drive in there, it's just too thick and heavy. So we'll try and come back to those guys, but let's go and try and find our hippo. Oh, here we go. There they were, just around the next corner. And there's a little one. A real little one. Oh, this is nice. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I can see, a small breeding herd. Lovely relaxed elephants. That's a nice little one there. Close to his mum. A can't see the matriarch. I think she's over to the left, but we'll see if she comes out. Nice youngster coming along through here on the left too, Bri. That was the one we were just looking at, actually. Really enjoying our morning feed. And I'll probably say it every day, folks, but you know, the beautiful thing about this place is that these elephants are so relaxed and so content with us being this close to them. We're about probably 10, 12 meters, about 30, 35 feet away from some of these individuals. And it's a beautiful, cool morning, and they're just browsing away on different species. A little bit of a display, actually. I think it might have been at something else, because they've been very comfortable. There was a low rumble. I just heard there, and a few of them threw their ears around, just giving a little bit of a signal that there was a bit of concern, but it wasn't. I don't think it was about us. It was a big gust of wind that came just then as they did that. It could have been a scent that they picked up of something. This individual is about 3-4 meters away from us now. Very relaxed. And I think this is her baby coming up behind her now. Yeah, absolutely sure of it. How beautiful is he or she? Just got a message, a tweet from Chris, and I think it was Crocker or Cropper. I'm sorry, Chris. I've got a little bit of break up on the radio at the moment, and I really apologise if I've pronounced your surname incorrectly, but I think it's Cropper or Crocker. Chris is asking if we. Here's a nice big bull coming through right. That's pretty close, folks. It's a cow, sorry, it's a cow, I didn't see her. It's okay, buddy, it's okay, my friend, no problem, everything's fine. Everything's so fine. It's all good. It's the matriarch, I think. No problem. We get the message. It's fine, fine, fine. Just relax. It's all good. This is the matriarch. Sorry, I just couldn't see her properly when she came up, but she's got a little bit of a reputation. So we'll just let her have a little bit of space. She's got that broken tusk, and I didn't quite see her. She just came up to give us a little message to say, I think you've been here long enough, my friends. So Chris, the audible range is not picked up by us completely, but we do hear a fair bit of it, and you'll definitely hear it when an elephant is coming your way. Well, we have arrived at the dam at last. Yeah, so that female just there, she just gave us a little bit of an indicator to say, just stay where you are, and I'm actually okay with you moving on. So we did, and that's exactly what we do. We pick up those behaviours from the animals, and we move on. They are in charge of that situation, and we just respect that totally, always. But look who we have here, friends. Just trying to get Brian on a bit of level ground here. Let me just reverse up so you don't look like you're on a tilted horizon there. Is that better, mate? Now I just have to see if it's our friend. I'm not sure at this point, but I think it is. I think it is. Can I see that battle scar on his left shoulder? Yeah. This is our resilient old bull. Yeah, there's an injury. Will's watching in the control room as well. He's just picked up. There's an injury on his spine there at the back. He's sitting upright, which is I don't know, something a positive out of it, I suppose. He's been lying over on his side so much. We thought that he wasn't going to last. But boy, this old boy is just hanging in there. He's in a place that's safe, that's for sure. There's not a lot of water in this little dam, but I think with the coming rains he'll probably get a bit of a top up here. And he might be in a bit deeper water, but at the moment he looks like he's in the best place, that's for sure, and he seems to have found a spot where he doesn't have to move every day. It was interesting for us to see when he was coming back and forth from Treehouse Dam. He would have had to go out of there at night and come back every morning. So I don't even know if he's leaving here at night. Maybe he is, we don't know. If he's getting out and eating, that would be a great thing. But it's definitely our resilient old bull. So, he's still with us. He's still hanging in there. And I'm just looking around, folks, because we are absolutely surrounded by elephants at the moment. We've got a big herd, and it's probably a few different herds. Normally it's sort of 10 to 15, sometimes 20 individuals in a herd, sometimes more, just depends on food availability and many other things, but generally speaking it's sort of 10 to 20 individuals in a herd, and then they'll join up with other herds, and this is what's happened at the moment. We've got a lot of elephant around behind me. I'm just keeping my eyes open. Really only the individual that we've got to just keep a little eye on is that matriarch from that herd. She's got the broken tusk and a left ear notch, and when she did come round I saw a proper vision of her and saw that it was the individual that we just have to just keep an eye on. She's just got a little bit of a reputation, and that could be a historical thing, or something that she's been through in her past on another reserve, or on the periphery of any national park where she's travelled through. But back to our old resilient bull. He's don't know what's going to happen here, folks. Really don't. Just got a great question from Marco on Twitter. Marco, thanks very much for your question, and welcome aboard to you as well. Marco's asking, is there a way to determine the condition, the animal's vigour or vitality, I suppose, and body shape, and also its teeth? So we don't always get a chance to look at its teeth, that's for sure, but over time there will be deterioration either through fighting or just through age itself, and then the body shape, where you get younger bulls that will have much less pronounced spinal column and hip bones, as we can see on that individual. This our old resilient bull, but that's probably the best way, and it's just a matter of getting to know. The best way, Marco, is a comparison of seeing an old bull next to a young bull, and you'll really see the obvious difference. But good question, and definitely worth keeping in mind. If we come up against a young, really healthy bull in his prime, I'll definitely point out those attributes to you. But great one, thank you so much, mate. Just got a question from Leanne in Lakeland in Florida. Hi Leanne, welcome aboard to you this morning, or maybe late tonight for you, isn't it? Late last night or in the morning. Just trying to do the time zone there thing. And I'm just looking, you've asked a really good question, Leanne. It's about the spinal injury there and whether it's old or new. And I'm looking through my binoculars at the moment at it. I didn't notice it the other day, I must admit, and we did have a good examination of this old bull. I don't think it's. I think it's probably old by the looks of it, just because of the scar tissue around it, Leanne, and it's to me probably an old one, and we might have overlooked that because we were so focused on this injury he's got on his shoulder. But I suppose what we need to do is just monitor those wounds. We've got this one on his spine, the one on his back hind quarter, and this one on his right shoulder as well. So we'll keep an eye on those, and really good observation, Leanne. It's something we might have overlooked because we were so focused on the others, but it does look like a little, not as nasty as the other two, so we'll see how we get on there. But well done, thank you for that. We'll keep an eye on that. Okay folks, well we might leave our friend here to just get some peace and move on. He needs to roll back on his other side. One of the things I did notice the other day, he was relying on that side more frequently than not, and I'm wondering whether he was doing it to keep those oxpeckers off that wound. They're definitely not into that. Sorry, I'll just turn the engine off again because I just want to say one more thing. They're definitely not into that wound as much as they were recently, and I wonder if that's because it's healing a little bit or not. Oxpeckers can aggravate a wound somewhat as well, but he's got this technique where he flicks water over his. It's definitely giving him a little. It's annoying, that's for sure. He might roll over onto his other side now to get rid of that oxpecker. They're really giving it a bit of grief, and he's trying to flick water over it. Josh has just asked us a question on email. Hi Josh, welcome to you this morning. Josh has asked a question about the oxpecker's bill, and whether the oxpecker's bill is red because naturally, or whether it's red because of blood on the beak. Well, I can tell you now that it's red naturally, Josh, and just bear with me, I'm going to if you keep watching that hippo for a second, I'm about to get a picture up of it for you on my little app here, and I'll show you exactly that. Just bear with me. Come and have a look at this little app here. This is the red-billed oxpecker that we have here, and it's definitely got that yellow eye ring, but a very, very bright red beak, and absolutely natural to the bird itself. And you wouldn't even notice the little bit of blood on their beaks. But this is just a call. It's quite an interesting call. Now when you hear that call, it's a great call for us because we know that they sound that call off as an alarm, and there will normally be a predator around when they make that call. And because they're riding on the backs of several different species of hoofed animal, generally you sort of associate those two things together. So the oxpecker will be riding on the back of or side or whatever of a herbivore, and if it's setting out that alarm call, there's a good chance that there's a predator around, and then we might be seeing a bit of interaction. They're not always on the back of those animals, but they still will let out that alarm call, and that alerts us to potential predators, and we can go and look at those. But we might leave our friend now. I do want to just go back up into this, see if that other cow who's a little bit testy, she's probably moved on. But there's a lot of other individuals coming through, so we might just see if we come up with against a couple of the bulls that are trailing. They might be trailing the herd. If there's a female in estrus, they normally hang at the back of the herd and just hang out and wait until they come into the season and then assist the situation. Lovely little family group just here of elephants. Just got to keep my eyes open for this cow, see if she's still hanging around. But I think she's moved down a little bit further, so we'll just sit and watch these guys for a second. Tamara on Twitter just asked if we ever put animals out of their misery. Well, Tamara, the answer to that is no, because everything that you see there is happening naturally, and we are just visitors to this environment, and that is the sort of this matriarch here. She's okay. It's all right, my friend. She's got that ear, little bit of ear pulled down on her left ear there. There's the sort of trademark of that particular animal. They're fine. So, Tamara, just to answer again, we don't, and the only time that there would ever be a interaction there would be if it was a tragedy that was caused by humans, and that would be a poaching situation or something like that, and then you may have a situation occur where we may have to intervene, but that would be the only time, Tamara. Nature is taking its course and doing what it does, and that story is unfolding completely naturally, and that's the way we have to leave it. No matter how we feel inside, you have to just gather your thoughts and know that nature is raw and it's honest, and it happens perfectly. It happens how it's supposed to happen. But very, very good question, Tamara, and thank you for emailing us. What we're doing right now is great also, folks. That this female, that matriarch that came up to us before and just put her ears out and just gave us a little bit of a sort of message just to watch ourselves. It's good to be in her presence. It's good to be sitting here with her and letting her know that we're not a threat. We're not doing anything. We're giving her space. We're not coming near her offspring or any of her other members of her family group. So it's really nice. You feel like you're doing a little bit of work here with her, and just reinforcing how this can be and how it can work for her. We wouldn't overstep the mark. We just always respect her messages and respect her communication with us. And if she doesn't, she changes her mind from what she's doing right now. She's behind us, so we're looking at a different individual right in front of us. The animal that I've got my eye on is actually one just over my left shoulder and to the left of camera. And she's completely relaxed, absolutely relaxed, feeding away, giving me a little bit of a look now and again, but so fine. And this is work. This is what we do, and this is how we improve the relationship between us and the animals, and let them know that there's no way in the world, no way on this planet that we ever threaten them consciously. And when you're dealing with elephants, you're dealing with very, very complex individuals, very, very complex social structure, you know, a massive convoluted brain in that head that is just so smart and so communicative and so social, and all the historic things that have happened in that animal's life may play a part on the way they behave, and we have to take that into account as well. It's fantastic, folks. We are completely surrounded by elephant at the moment. I'm just going to wait to see. There's a female just coming up behind us, and she may pass quite closely. I can't see her, Brian. Does she want me to move?
Yeah, I think let's go.
I'll just move forward a bit. She's struggling to get through to meet her family group. So if I just go forward a bit, I'll try and just giving us a little bit of an indicator that she wants us to move. All I'm trying to do is give you a little shot of her now. Here we go. There she is. She's okay. It's okay, my friend. It's okay. So she was just giving us a little bit of an indicator that she wanted to get through there with her youngster. And we moved for her, and everything's fine. There's a girl. Completely fine, my friend. It's okay. It's okay. Really nice. I have to tell you, folks, just between you and me, that's one of the most beautiful feelings, when you can read an animal's behaviour and do the right thing for them and move forward. And she was just giving us a little bit of posture, a little bit of body language to say, you're just a little bit in my way. I'm not sure if I want to walk that close to you. We move forward. She walks through gently, and everyone's happy. It's a lovely feeling. We just got a tweet from Dina on Twitter, and Dina, it's a really good question, you know. I love the questions that come through. You guys are fantastic. You send some great stuff, because it's things that I think about, and I sort of, yeah, it's nice just to wait to see if people do have questions about certain things, rather than me just blurting information at you constantly. It's really important to know that little things and idiosyncrasies about the animals you see, or individual markings and things, where they've come from, why they're there. Dina, great question. Do the elephant's ears get torn from thorn bushes and things like that? Well, the answer to that is there's several different ways that they can get just have to be careful here. It's all right. It's okay, my girl. It's okay, my girl. It's okay. It's totally fine. Totally fine, my girl. Everything's fine. Totally fine, my girl. We're about 2 meters away from her. She's just sort of come up beside us, Dina, so just let me come back to your question. They get torn from lots of different things. They get torn from potentially a bit of a tussle with one another, but normally it'll be from something like that, a thorn bush, or getting caught on some vegetation. It's okay, my girl. It's alright. Settle down. It's okay. You just get your little girl, your baby behind you, my friend. So nice that she's just done that. That is absolutely fantastic, folks. That's just made my day. The last time I was with this female, she really gave us not a charge or anything, but just a proper posture to say, move out of the way. And we were well away from her. She just didn't want us to be around. And she has just come within 2 meters of my vehicle and absolutely relaxed. And that is just beautiful, beautiful morning. Look at this little baby right up on this acacia, up a bit further. Have a look at that. Right at the trunk there, trunk of that tree, sorry. A trunk on a trunk. Have a look at him. He's just having a little rub up and down on that tree. I will move up, but I want her to know that we are just so relaxed with her, and I want the rest of her family unit to meet up with her rather than me going up closer to that little one, because that's what they'll be protected. Oh, it's just beautiful, folks. So Dina, yeah, lots of different ways about the ear tears. They'll get them from thorn bushes, they'll get them from getting caught on vegetation or branches that are broken. And I have to say that when these animals push over a tree or break down a branch, it can be very, very sharp edges on them, and they can be either running through or pushing through or just moving through at speed. And when you think of the size of the animal, yeah, getting hooked or caught on something can definitely make tears like that. This is just lovely. What a lovely encounter. Can you guys send me a tweet or an email and tell me if you're happy to sit around here for another 5 minutes with these guys, because we're just having for me, I'm completely happy here just to trail these guys for a little bit longer. Send us a couple of tweets or emails and just let us know, and we'll get a bit of a general consensus if you'd like to stick around this herd this morning. It's quite a beautiful thing. Okay, folks, well, what we might do is, whilst we're just letting these individuals, or this herd, sorry, regroup, and I'm waiting for a couple of the stragglers to come through, let's cross to Scott, because he's got something really interesting to show you, and I'll come back to you when we've regrouped with this herd. We feel like we're part of the herd this morning. Okay, we'll see you soon.
Welcome back, folks. Myself and Djuma have been having a very interesting morning and learning the roads and getting familiar with this property, which has been great. And along the way I stopped to admire this beautiful torchwood tree. They're usually not nearly as big as this and often only have one single trunk, whereas this one has split quite low down to the base, creating a massive canopy. And while we had stopped to look at the tree, Djuma actually spotted an agama, a lizard, which is very well camouflaged, and it just goes to show that unless you stop and really look at things closely, it would be very easy to overlook an animal like this. So this is a tree agama, also known as a blue-headed lizard. The lighting is a bit difficult at the moment, and he doesn't have his kind of full breeding coloration, which when it is in full strength, his head will be a bright blue, but still a very pretty reptile. And like I mentioned earlier this morning, we can expect to see reptiles sunning themselves because they are cold-blooded animals. We were hoping for a snake. We got a lizard, and I think we can bank that. So good signs though. The reptiles are out, and who knows what others we could find along the way. And I think he has got the best home out of all the agamas on Djuma and Arathusa. I mean, look at how beautiful that tree is. There was also a cuckoo calling in this tree earlier. It flew off. And yeah, a really beautiful day here on Djuma. I believe you've been having a good time with a herd of elephants with Hayden. I'm envious of you, and it's time to go find some animals for ourselves. So let's see what we have in store for us around the next corner. I think until we find something of interest, of any major interest, we'll swap back over to Hayden and the herd of elephants, and we'll catch up with you a bit later. Enjoy.
We're just going to keep up with this herd. She's just taken her herd up the road a little bit here, and we might just come up behind them again and just see how they're getting on, because there's some lovely youngsters in this herd. And this young man one here, he's just it's okay guys, settle, it's fine, everything's fine. He's full of beans, this guy. He just came past us a second ago and was like, "What you doing here?" A lot of the little babies aren't as used to the thank you very much for that. We always ask our guests, if you want to stay, or should we move on a little bit, or do you want to go and see something else? And it's always up to you, really. That's what we're here for. We're here to show you the experiences and the encounters that you really like. And I think this one's quite a nice one. And this boy at the back here, he's a little. Actually, I'm not sure. It might be a girl. Actually, I couldn't see him when he came through. This individual's quite full of enthusiasm, one could say. Oh, it's a lovely herd. Lovely herd. There's little babies everywhere. Look at this little guy over here. He's giving us the what for as well. What are you doing here? And then running up to his mum.
What's the setting with the tough guy?
Yeah, little tough guys. I talked about it a few weeks ago, but I probably just want to reiterate a little. I've got just a bit of a philosophy, and it's only my philosophy, and there might be a couple of similar ones. But I always think that I work with elephants in captivity and in the wild, not as many as lots of my mates have, but I've got a lot of friends that work with elephant in the wild, and I learn loads from them. But this is why I often ask the question: why do we have the connection with elephants? Why do we have this connection with elephants? And my belief is that there's just so many similarities between us and them, and it's more on a sort of social level and than a physiological level. But we've got a long gestation period for a mammal. 9 months is quite long. and we also look after our young like elephants do. There's a beautiful family group. It's a beautiful sort of connection that we have. We do that as humans as well. And we live to a ripe old age, you know. We live a long time for a mammal, and so do elephants. And there's this definite sort of common thread between our lives of social time with your family and looking after each other and protecting each other. And I don't know, that's just a little bit of my philosophy, but that's why I reckon we hang out a lot with them and like watching them. Now we've got a big fella up ahead. We just had a question from Sharon in Florida, and Sharon, I have to tell you, this is probably one of the most important questions that one has to have in the back of their mind. And Sharon, your question is, when you're surrounded by elephant or any animal for that matter, do you have an exit strategy? Now, an exit strategy is more important with some animals than not. Say, for example, we were surrounded by zebra, we don't really need an exit strategy. Or impala, we don't need an exit strategy, and I know you know that. But when it comes to animals that have a potential life-threatening risk to us and our guests, you absolutely have to have an exit strategy. Now, all different animals have different behaviours and different personalities and different traits. The thing about elephant is their power to basically turn this vehicle over, and that is definitely a potential danger to us. We do have to have an exit strategy, but we also have to have more than an exit strategy. One has to be able to read the behaviour, and you know, there's always exceptions to that rule as well. Just when you think you know what you're doing, you'll get an individual that just pipes up and turns around and shows this abnormal behaviour, and you're in a bit of a situation. Well, normally you will try your different tactics and to get out of that situation, and 99% of the time they work. When they don't, you'll have to make a plan. But that plan is definitely an exit strategy. It's always important that you've got your eyes all around you. And with elephant, you know, you should relax around them. You should just be around them and read that behaviour, but you also always should sort of look around. I think I was answering Dina's question before, and I was facing the microphone like that, talking whilst Brian was filming, and that sort of testy female that we had to keep an eye on, she came quite close. So as I glanced over, you know, she was a lot closer than I thought she was going to be, but it was perfectly fine because we read the behaviour. If she was standing there with her ears out, completely still, and her head up high, standing tall at me, we would have had to just make a little bit of a plan there and maybe relax out of the situation, see how long she stood there. Then the next steps would be to just do a little mock sort of display at us potentially, and then it gets a bit more serious and escalates from there on. Situation, see how long she stood there. Then the next steps would be to just do a little mock sort of display at us potentially, and then it gets a bit more serious and escalates from there on in. But to sort of talk about elephants, that's basically the strategy. Just let me turn this game drive channel down. I'm sorry, I can't hear what I'm saying. If it's an animal like lion, yes, and they could launch themselves onto the vehicle, no problem. But again, that's highly unlikely because we're reading the behaviour from them. We know when we get too close, and we also don't get too close, because there's an invisible barrier between you and the animal that if you encroach on that barrier or over that barrier, then they will either show you their displeasure, or they will flee. And that's not what we want to do. That's not what we're here for. We're here to observe the animals behaving naturally and use our knowledge and our intuition to manage that situation. So really they're the two animals you have to think about. Leopard, well, yeah, a little bit. Potentially the animals here are very, very conditioned. In the wild, and it'd be more than likely that a leopard would flee rather than fight unless it was cornered or injured. And then, you know, you do see sometimes cheetah being quite cheeky and jumping up on top of vehicles in some parts of Africa to get a bit of a vantage point. But they're not probably going to threaten you at any time. You still got to keep an eye on cheetah, that's for sure. They're a big cat, and they're a force to be reckoned with. But more likely than not, they'll be just fine sitting up there. But the other animal you have to take care of is rhino and hippo. You get between hippo and the water in a vehicle, and a hippo will not have any hesitation to charge and have a bit of a go at you. And rhinoceros, well, then you're dealing with a very, very different couple of individuals there. White rhinoceros probably a little less likely to give you grief, but black rhinoceros, because they're solitary, and if they do feel threatened, they will again have no hesitation to give you probably more likely a mock charge before they would be serious. Really nice bit of behaviour just here. Just you might do it again. That mother was just bending down using her tusks to dig something out of the ground. Quite amazing. There's some beautiful youngsters here. Everyone's got babies. It's a big herd. A couple of herds joining up with each other here. Just got a question from Tracy in Victoria, Australia. Hi Tracy, and welcome. Great to hear that you're watching from that great southern land there. A question, Tracy, that you're asking about the elephant's trunk and how long does the elephant's trunk take to grow, and you know, when is it fully grown? Well, the trunk grows in proportion with the animal and grows at the same rate as the rest of the animals growing. Physiologically, that just works as it is. But you always get, you see that the one in front of us there, the elephant's trunk is just sort of if the head is held looking upright, they're normally a few inches, maybe 2 or 3, 4 inches off the ground. They sometimes curl them up when they walk a little bit. And as soon as they drop their head, they can use that trunk to gather any foliage off the ground. When you see these elephants walking, you might see there's an individual coming through in a minute. I'll tell Brian when it does come through so he can pan to it on our right. You'll see they just curl it up back towards their body a little bit, always being used for so many different things. A form of sensing, a form of feeding, communicating, touching, and feeding and so many different things. But these little guys, when they're born, the funniest thing is when you see these guys born, they don't really know what their trunk is for, and they tread on it and they flick it around in circles, and they don't really know how to use it until they start to get dexterity on their trunk. It's quite funny to watch. As they get a bit older, they get to use it and they start to practice with it. But remember, they're suckling for quite a period of time off their mother's milk, so all they're doing is experimenting, and then they'll slowly start to go on to solids, but it'll just be experimenting with different foodstuffs and chewing sticks and things like that. So it's a big experimental period. Sorry, Brian, that was a bit of a sky shot there. I just rolled back on a hill, folks. I do apologise. We're just going to creep up behind here, because never in our wild will we want to threaten anyone. But this boy here. Oh, sorry, it's a girl. This is a young girl here, but she's a cheeky little one. Okay, Michael, don't worry. Everything's okay. Everything's okay. It's no problem whatsoever. We're fine and you're fine. It's all good. It's all good. That's a young fella, sorry. He's it's a young boy, sorry. He's at the back of the herd here, and he's full of beans. He's like trying to throw his weight around here a little bit. And you will get there with that with the youngsters, particularly the teenagers. They're a little bit more likely to, like you saw there was nothing in that. The mother that was up ahead there, she didn't even batter an eyelid. She just knew that these teenagers, they throw a little bit of not a strop, but they throw a bit of sort of display at you. And they're learning. That's what they're learning to do. They're learning to stand up for themselves and protect the herd and protect the group as a whole. And that's their job. They band together. They're getting their feelings felt, so to speak. So what we've got to be careful of here is just this situation. So what's happened is the youngster up there ahead of us is just a little bit separated off from his mum here, and he can see us but can't see his mum. So what we do here is we just settle and we make sure that he feels comfortable and he finds her. She's completely okay, I can see her, and he's going to make his way back across. Once he gets a visual contact with his mum, he'll be fine. But it's really good for the youngsters. We just got a tweet from Jody in New Mexico, and Jody, really great question. Why don't we see oxpeckers on the elephants? Well, we do see We just got a tweet from Jody in New Mexico, and Jody, really great question. Why don't we see oxpeckers on the elephants? Well, we do see oxpeckers sometimes on the elephants. Not as much as we see on many of the other animals, but it just happens to be at this particular time we don't see them. If we do see any, they don't get the sort of parasitic infestations that a lot of the other animals get. And one of the reasons for that, well, it's sort of contradicting what I'm saying there, because buffalo wallow a lot as well. But we will see them on them occasionally, But elephants do a lot of dust bathing and wallowing in mud and going into the water, and they definitely do cover their skin with lots of different coatings of earth, and maybe that's one of the reasons why we don't get as much of them. But we don't see them as much. Yeah, you're right, but we do see them now and again, and definitely see them on the animals that you think that have got that really tough skin, like rhino and elephant. We definitely see them on, but just not as much. There's a couple of really lovely animals coming through here at the moment. A couple of males just trailing the herd, and that's what I was talking. See this? There's a little bit of pushing and shoving going on here, which is quite nice. Or is it just a little friendly greeting? It's got a really bent tusk, that one. It's hard to see behind there, folks. But yeah, so the boys only come together when the females are in estrus or in season, and then they'll trail the herd for some time, and once the female, he can sense when the females are in estrus and it's time to mate, and he will mate with her. Just see if there's a little bit of interaction here. I'm not sure it's going to happen or not, but they're definitely standing off at each other. It's a little bit obstructed by the vegetation, folks. I'm sorry, but they've gone back to, I think they've just gone back to eating. Oh no. You might hear the clash of some tusks here. Big boy. Just nothing really in that. That's just a little bit of dominancy there from the bigger bull, just pushing the other one around, and that's what it's all about. They have to get their pecking order or their status in, and if it came to battling over who had the rights to do it, that would be a lot more serious, to the point where it's so difficult to watch. The clash of ivory, goodness me, it sounds just so heavy duty, and so that's sometimes when they do break their tusks off. A little bit more going on there. He's got a really bent tusk, that the smaller bull, and that could be anything. He might have had a knock on that when he was really young, and it's just grown out that way. But again, I always say, I'm just going to move up a little bit and see if we can follow these guys, because it's quite interesting. They can get a knock on that tusk when they're young, or that tooth. It's an incisor. It's go down and see if we can get a little bit closer to these boys. He's really showing them who's boss this morning. Interesting to watch. Absolutely interesting to watch. That bull at the back there is definitely the more dominant, but he's also being a little bit relentless here and pushing this this other one, bent tusk, around. But this bent tusk bull is just quite keen to
get out of there.
Get away. Well, folks, I think we might leave our elephant friends now and carry on. That was quite a beautiful time with those animals. We saw some great interaction. We saw some youngsters. We saw that young. The biggest blowout for me was that broken tusk with matriarch with a tear in her ear, walking 2 meters from our vehicle comfortably. That for me was the highlight of the morning so far, because that just goes to show that we're working together, and she's trusting us more, and we did the right thing. It makes you feel good when you've done the right thing on her behalf, and she just tolerated us, and that's a great relationship, and you build on that, and then you can get closer and closer to these beautiful breeding herds and learn so much from them. Just beautiful. Love stuff. Love it, love it, love it. I'm just slowing here, folks, just because there's a breeding herd just here. You wouldn't know it, would you? Have a look at that vegetation there. There's about 15 individual elephants just in there, and there's about another 5 or 6 over here. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to startle them by coming over this hump and separating the herd. And if there's a little youngster, a little baby just in here and his mum's over here, or vice versa, that's when you can upset the flow. And we've got beautiful flow this morning in this, so we just come down here nice and gently and just double check that there's no little guy across here and mum across here, and we startle them. Okay, that's good. We're all in the clear there. Thank you, my friends. That was beautiful. Really nice. Oh, there we go. Just exactly what I said. So they can hide, or you can just miss them so easily. Sorry there, Mama. Do you want to come across? Where's your baby? Okay, you're going to let me pass. Well, if you let me pass, well, you go across first, and then I'll wait for you. There's your baby. So that's the one. Let's just let you catch up with your mum, my friend. Here you go. Yeah, there's a cheeky chap. You catch up with your mama, and then we'll pass. You've got the right of way here, buddy. Josh, we'll just go to a question anyway whilst we're waiting for this little cheeky youngster to carry on. Josh on Twitter. Hi Josh, welcome aboard. Fantastic to have you with us. Wanted to know whether the vocalizations are made from the mouth or the trunk. And it's both. There's nothing quite the same as an elephant's roar. The vocalization of elephant is probably one of the most extraordinary sounds you'll ever hear, and hopefully you hear it in a nice way, and you're not under threat. But that couple of other animals just crossing the road in front of us, we'll wait for those to go because I don't want to split this herd up. And it's quite thick bush just here, and the vocalizations are made from both male and female. Both trunk and mouth, and also deep down within their soul. There's this incredible sound that comes from deep in their within and resonates throughout you. It's such a high volume and so many different tones and frequencies there that you feel it travel right through your body when you're close to it. And normally when you're close to it, it's not a fantastic place to be, Josh. So hopefully you might hear it from afar when animals are interacting with each other, but I hope you never hear it when you're under threat, because it's not a great place to be. Well, that was probably one of the most lovely elephant encounters I've had here in 3 weeks. That was just like a herd of probably 40 to 50 individuals, probably small family groups. You can see them. There's a lovely, lovely shot there, Brian, just of them all going off. And Brian can do a sort of, let me just get up on flat ground for you, a pan around. You'll see elephants all the way through here, moving through. And all different animals. A couple of different breeding herds met each other, and they may be moving to a water point, we don't know, but they're feeding as they go, very, very relaxed with us, very tolerant of us, and the matriarch of that one particular family group or breeding herd absolutely made my day by coming so close to us today. No threat displays to us. She just walked on by. She was comfortable, and she left her baby behind. Oh, not left her behind, but she was probably about 5 to 10 meters away from her baby and was comfortable enough to let the baby walk past us, that little calf walk past us without any threat. So that is a beautiful thing. Right, well, it's just gone, coming up to 10 past 8. And I'm just going to find out what Scott's up to, but I think there might be a little technical difficulty, so just stand by for me, folks. Control, do you copy? Okay, thank you very much, Control. I'm really keen to know how Scott's getting on, because I really want to make sure he's. It's really hard to get to know the roads and so on. So I just want to, I don't know. Maybe it's just the old bloke in me, the old man in me, wanting to look after him. He doesn't need any looking after, that's for sure. He's such an incredibly knowledgeable guy, and just want to know how he's getting on. And Control, of course, are looking after all that side of things, but it's just nice to know, because I wanted to cross to him, but he's just coming back from an area where he's getting better signal now, and we'll definitely cross to him shortly. But wasn't that a relaxing, Brian? How was that? Wasn't that cool?
What a great experience.
Oh, just to have the whole, it's literally, folks, there was 50, maybe more elephants around us then, completely relaxed with us. There's a real connection there when you're watching elephants, and that's what I was going back to before, not getting all sort of, waffling on about our connection with them. But I have to say, it was a lovely, lovely encounter. So I think Scott's in a good place now. and I really love you guys to see what he's up to, and I've probably done enough talking for the last 45 minutes to you. Go and have a look what Scott's up to, and Brian and I will continue searching and see what else is around the next corner. See you soon.
Welcome back, folks. No major updates since you've been gone. Been exploring a beautiful area of Djuma where the road network crisscrosses over a section of drainage line, or dry riverbed is another term for it. Hoping to find any tracks of leopards. Obviously riverbeds provide us with a great platform on which to see tracks, because the sand is very soft and it allows the animals, any animal, to leave a very clear track in the road. But here is something that we have not seen a lot of, and I'm very happy to see. It is the first one I've seen since I've been here, actually. Just traverse and get into position. VM will work as magic with the camera. Not going to be easy, the bush is quite thick, but we'll give it some time. Beautiful. So now, if we watch closely, we'll notice that he is eating a buffalo thorn, which is the same tree that I spoke about yesterday morning, the one that ripped my t-shirts. And it's incredible the way it can actually feed on this tree without getting its lips tangled and its tongue caught, but they are highly adapted and suited to feeding on these thorny bushes. And also willing to take not the risk, but take one or two pricks to get to the very tasty leaves. On his neck there's a red-billed oxpecker, which we can see doing a great job at keeping off the ectoparasites, the blood-sucking ticks. Interesting to see how the oxpecker almost combs through the hair, looking for its prey. You can hear the oxpeckers calling now. A very, very useful call to remember when spending time in the bush. The reason being, when on foot or even in a vehicle, you can be driving along in quite thick vegetation, and if you hear that call, it's an indicator that there is a mammal there, and what could be potentially a dangerous mammal, a buffalo, a rhino. So a very useful call to have lodged in your memory somewhere for when on foot, or simply when looking for mammals. If we have a closer look at the head of the oxpecker, the head of both the oxpecker and the giraffe, because I guess they're both in the same place. Oh, this is wonderful. So for explanations purposes, we could not have asked for a better situation than this. The oxpecker has been rubbing its bill actually on the bald top parts of those two horn-like structures called ossicones. Those thousands or millions of years ago would have potentially been long horns, and over the millennia the giraffe has lost the requirement to have these horns, and this is all it's left with, these two little stumps, and it allows us to sex the giraffes. So This individual, you would have noticed I'm calling him a male, and you can distinguish that by the fact that at the top of those two horn-like structures, there is no hair. It's a bald surface, whereas the females will have a very distinctive tuft of hair coming off the top of those horns, or also known as ossicones. The reason why the men lose the hair is not only stress, it may be a contributing factor, but it's from fighting with other male giraffes. So they'll use their head like a battering ram and swing that long neck into their opponents, and that obviously takes off the hair. Beautiful. He's having a good look at us, we're having a good look at him. Win-win situation. Really is incredible how the mutualism between animals and nature occurs. Such a small bird helping such a large mammal. Beautiful. Really, really beautiful. I'm going to reverse and one last time and see if we can get another view. At the moment in this part of the reserve, we don't have too many giraffe, it seems. So I think we should make the most of spending time with them. I'm certainly enjoying myself. The fact that he's 4 meters taller than our view from here in the vehicle is also an advantage to us. He may spot something that may interest us. Sorry folks, it's going to be very difficult for us to get an angle, a better angle on this giraffe, but we'll wait a moment or two and see if he moves out. In the meantime, I've got a question from Clancy in Columbus. Welcome back, Clancy. Good to have you on board again. The bracelets all do have little meanings. I will start talking you through them now. So, if you have a look at, we'll start at the top. This is a snake. It was made from scratch in front of my eyes by some Samburu blacksmiths up in Samburu land, which is in central Kenya, and these blacksmiths are really talented, and they actually use air blowers made out of goat skin that they pump furiously to create a fire that's hot enough to melt this metal. And once the metal was melted in a small pot, they poured the molten metal into a small kind of rift in the sand that they made, and that creates kind of a long, fairly round shape. And thereafter they get the old hammer and anvil out and beat it into shape. And this was literally bent onto my arm when the metal was still warm and pliable. I love snakes, so that is why I got them to design the snake. Usually the bangle will finish with a diamond to diamond head, and I just got them to create a tail instead of two diamond shapes. meeting. The wooden bracelet is from Vietnam, I believe. It is a gift from a good friend of mine, Murray Beatty. He's in Johannesburg at the moment. And over here we have a anti-poaching bracelet, which another good friend of mine started designing and making and selling to create funds for rhino poaching. The colourful one over here is from Greece. I was over there a few months ago, and the green one is also from a friend of mine that works for a lion organization. They focus on protecting wild animals, protecting domestic animals from wild lions in places where they do both occur and there are no fences between them. And a lot of their funding goes into a new initiative that was actually developed by a very young Kenyan living out in the local villages, or they call them manyatas over there in Kenya. And he discovered that if he attached flashing lights around their boma or kraal, essentially a wooden thorny fence that they keep their cattle and livestock, goats, they keep them in there at night. If he connected a few lights that were to flash every few seconds, it would prevent predators attempting to get into that boma or kraal. So now they're obviously creating funds and generating awareness, teaching other local Kenyans that if they do manage to get a small solar panel and string it up to some flashing LED lights, they can drastically reduce the amounts of livestock that they lose to lions. So a great initiative, and that's from another friend of mine. The one with my name on was a gift from a Kenyan lady who I worked with at a lodge in southern Kenya overlooking Kilimanjaro in a beautiful area called the Chulu Hills. It's got the Kenyan colors and flag on it, and my name. The Kenyans are very fond of putting their names on either bracelets or even beaded belts that they make. So yeah, I think that sums it up. I hope you enjoyed that, Clancy, and good to have you back on drive with us. Subsequently, the giraffe has moved into a better area for us to view, so let's try and get one more look at it. Morning, Jan. That's a good question. Jan has asked whether the female giraffe also fight like the male giraffe do. As far as I'm aware, they don't. Nature can often surprise us, and it may have happened in the past, but as far as I'm aware, I've never heard of or seen any footage of the female giraffe fighting. Thankfully, I think the men do all the fighting over the ladies, and then the ladies simply choose which men they desire to. So I guess the ladies are happy to share all of the most handsome male giraffes. Again, he's moved from a buffalo thorn that we saw him feeding on initially to another buffalo thorn over here. And you might ask yourself, well, why would they keep moving around if they could just sit and eat the leaves from one buffalo thorn for an hour or two? There's plenty of leaves to go by. There is a reason for that, and That is another one of the plant's defense mechanisms against herbivores. The one mechanism being the sharp thorns and small leaves, making it difficult for herbivores to consume a lot of them. So from that we can assume that plants with big leaves and no thorns are typically not highly nutritious and or tasty. Whereas the smaller the leaf becomes and the more thorny the bush becomes, the more sought after, nutritious and tasty that leaf is, as a general rule. So that's the first defense mechanism, the thorns and the small leaves. And the second defensive mechanism, which is really interesting, is that as soon as the plant is being fed on, it realizes that it's under attack, and it basically sends out a broadcast in the form of highly acidic tannins that make the taste of the leaves deteriorate rapidly. So after it's fed on this tree for a few minutes, obviously these messages in the form of acidic tannins would have reached out into all of the leaves, hence the giraffe moving from tree to tree every couple of minutes. I'm just going to try and reverse again to get a better angle. Another very interesting thing about a certain species of trees, the acacia, apparently, and I'm not sure who worked this out because it is pretty astonishing information, apparently the acacia family can communicate between one another, not over a huge distance, and there's no specific distance that has been quoted, but it is believed that within 20, 30, 40 meters roughly, if one acacia tree is under attack from a giraffe, it can send out messages to other acacias in the area, allowing them to start pumping out these acidic tannins before the giraffe moves on to them. Hard to believe, but it is a theory that is out there, and I'm sure it does have some plausibility to it. It is just hard to wrap your head around that a tree can communicate with another tree. So after having said all of this, we can hope and assume that this giraffe won't be feeding on this buffalo thorn for too much longer, and will therefore change positions, hopefully walk past in a more clear view for us. So let's give him a few more minutes. Look at that tongue, highly flexible and extremely long, wrapping around the leaves and stripping the branches of the leaves. By using its tongue like that to strip the leaves off the branches, it is a form of overcoming the thorns. You could imagine holding or wrapping not your tongue, because we can't imagine doing that, but imagine putting your two fingers around a pole with small spikes sticking out of it that were bendable. If you slid your enclosed palm or hand down that pole, it would flatten the thorns as opposed to allowing them to puncture your hand. So you strip down in that way, you push down any thorns that may be planning on protecting those leaves. Okay. So we have about half an hour left. I think we should carry on and see what else we can find. But we will have one last look at him from this beautiful view here. You can kind of see how he pulls, thus hopefully flattening the thorns and stripping the leaves off, as opposed to trying to get them individually. There we go. You can see there that he left behind the major portion of the branch with all the thorns on, and all the leaves just come sliding off. So I think it's fair for us to say that the security systems in this buffalo thorn are not the best, because he's been here for quite a while now. Obviously a slow deployment of those bitter tannins. Well, that was great. My first giraffe since arriving here on Djuma. And what a beautiful big specimen he was. Hopefully in the future we will be able to see giraffes chewing the cud. It's a really, really cool thing to watch. Because they've got that very long neck, you can literally see the bolus of cud working its way up the esophagus. And as it gets to the head almost jolts up a little bit. Like at a fun fair, I guess, you have that game where you hit the hammer and see how high you can get whether you can get the little marker to hit the bell. It's a similar event to that, just out here in Africa. So the in the road back there indicates to me that he came from down in this valley and he's slowly working his way up. He actually walked all the way down this road. You get some trees like this beautiful big jackalberry over here that you can't help but stop and scan and make sure that none of those big, essentially comfortable horizontal branches have, you could quite easily find a leopard draped over one of these branches in this beautiful tree. I often wondered to myself when I drive past a tree like this, how many leopard, or how many times have leopard hung out and relaxed within that tree over its lifespan, because a tree like that's a couple of 100 years old potentially. So if only it could tell us some stories. We're driving parallel to a riverbed here, a place that leopard hang out. It's an often scene. It's a common scene, leopard in riverbeds. Oh, beautiful! We have some buffalo ahead of us. Some very happy buffalo. Let's go up to those. I just want to, before we go there, I just want to have a quick check. I thought I saw something in a tree. And now this happens multiple times on every drive, where you think you see something, but it's not what you're wanting it to be. The problem is, if you drive past a tree where you think, oh, was that a leopard, was that an impala carcass, and you continue without going checking, you can't forgive yourself for not going back and checking, because you think, what if it takes to go back and double check quite often?
Okay, folks, we're just coming along these beautiful roads here that haven't had anyone driving over them this morning. Some of the guides from Arathusa have been on another reserve, and we've just come along here. Been a little bit quiet, but it's still quite beautiful, because to know that you're the only person that's driven down this road this morning is quite a nice feeling. Let's have a little quick look at that for you, so I don't drive over it. It's a nice shot of an elephant footprint. Actually, I'll take a photo of this one. Again, I just want to get out of the vehicle to do it, so bear with me for a second. I'll just take a photograph of it. It's really nice to see this live print. Right, now the reason why I stopped at this one is because it's the back foot on top of the front foot, so you can sort of get an impression of the comparison of the two sizes, which is quite nice. Right, now where's our sun, Brian? So you've got a shot of this. Okay, can you get in on that, mate, or is it too bright? Is it better if I go down here, mate? A bit hard, is it?
Yeah, there we go. That's good.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Get the reflection off it for you.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, see that, folks? Now, I'm just going to turn the car off for a second. You can see that there's like a round, bigger shape around the outside there, and then there's a more of an oval shape on the inside of that. Well, that is actually the front foot that's gone down first, and then the back foot has landed on top of it. So that oval shape in there is the back foot. Just try and get the reflection off it for you. And the round foot is the front foot. And the reason for that, and let me just pull that away for you for a second, just so you, okay, don't crash out of it, so I don't pull it away too quickly. I'll just bring that silhouette shot up for you as well, if you can bear with me. The reason why that is because there's a lot more body weight in the front end than there is in the back end on an elephant, and you basically just get a much bulkier need that fatty pad. Doesn't even give you the back foot. That's a bit of a... It's okay, so that's the front foot. And then on our other image here, we've got, sorry, apologies. On our other foot, we've got there. So you can just see the difference. This is the front foot, and there's a little bit of an image around the edge there. You can see where that front foot was, but then the back foot has gone on top of it. And that back foot is an oval shape, and the front foot has got that lovely sort of round shape with just the slight indications of the toenails on there. Just a nice little thing to keep in mind, you know, when you're out. It's pretty hard to make a mistake with elephant footprints, that's for sure. But you know, there's no other animal that has a foot like the elephant. You know, and you might think rhinoceros or hippopotamus, but they have a very, very distinctive footprint as well. The elephant's the only one really that has that round and that oval. Not the only one really, it is the only one. But it's just a nice thing to stop at. Do a little bit more on our tracks this morning, particularly when driving down a road that hasn't been driven down this morning. All the tracks are fresh, or when I say fresh, in the last sort of 9 hours or whenever it stopped raining here. So when you have a look at an elephant next time we're stopping at them, look at the size and the bulk of the animal on the front end. It's got those massive shoulders, that massive head, those big tusks supporting, you know, with that beautiful trunk. Lots and lots of weight and a massive brain in there as well. But the skeleton of the elephant is something that we'll talk about another time as well. I'm going to try and get a photograph of the skeleton of an elephant in the sense of the inside of a bone. You'll see that it's honeycombed. It's this incredible structure that nature has designed to keep this bone weight down for the animal. And I'll definitely get a picture of it in the coming days to help you understand what I'm talking about. It's much easier to describe when we're looking at a picture. Right, where are we? Okay. Just want to make sure I'm going the right way. These are all new roads to me. I'm going to keep to the right here and then right again. When I've been working up that side, these roads are all unfamiliar to me. I'm starting to see things that I recognise, like these large wallows and things like that. Yesterday we saw an elephant just in this area that had all mud all over himself, and we said we wish we were just a few minutes too late. That was just there and just here. So it's good to try and get familiar with these roads. So we've got about 15 minutes to go. It's been a beautiful drive this morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. It makes our day to know that you're all on board, and just all the questions that come through, and it's just lovely. And we're, you know, regular questions coming from people as well as new people, and we get to as many questions as we possibly can. And I often have a little scan later on and just see if there's anything that we haven't covered that is quite important. It was a tweet, I think, something, and I just want to try and, if the people are watching, there's a group of about 6 people called a Chatters group, I think it is, on US or Ustream in the US, to ask to have a bit of a shout out that you guys are really regular, and thank you so much. I hope you get that message. If you do, tweet back to us and let us know. But I saw you sent a few in, and you know, you guys are so important to us. All the support that you give and the regularity with what you watch, we feel like we know you, and you're regular people on the vehicle with us, as well as all the new people that come. We get to know you as well, and it's just great to have anyone that you want to invite. And the thing I also want to say, people, any teachers out there or any educators or anyone involved in the education industry, if you've got school groups or you've got classes or anything and you want to try and get a question to us, we had it happen a couple of times in the United States, and I think we had it once in London, and I just so promote, get your class together. If you've got access to a live stream, or if you can get to sometimes you can do it on a mobile device or on a tablet if you've got good streaming, and then get to a place where you can organise the class to be watching and send us a tweet or an email, and we'll definitely try and get to them. I know what it means to kids to have that connection with the technology, and if I'm talking to them, or Pete's talking, or Scott's talking, and we make that connection with the class, oh, happy days. That's what it's all about. Inspiring young people. As well as us older people as well. There's a lot of you guys out there as well that I don't know if you need much inspiring. You're already so enthusiastic and wonderful that it's just great to have you on board. So just making sure I've gone the right way. Yes, we're on Zebra Drive, which is always a great road to be on. I'm trying to make my way just down to the airstrip. I've got about 13 minutes. Don't have to drive fast. We can just still cruise through here. Just to finish on the airstrip, just to maximise our chances of these cheetah. The whole premise of this morning was to go out and try and get an update on our hippo and that story, because it really is a story unfolding. Brian and I were just talking about it when we crossed to Scott. And you know what? This old boy might hang on there. He might hang in there. He really might. Who knows? They look like incredibly severe wounds, but stranger things have happened. Oh, he's in a good place anyway, so that was great. Then we had a beautiful elephant encounter, absolutely stunning to be around that herd and have that female tolerate us this morning. Just going to cut down to the left here. Few bumps through here, folks. They just want to try and get to the airstrip. We've got about 10 minutes, just over 10 minutes, and we'll be fine. Just a little bit bumpy through these dips. The little building here is a pump house. It's called Pump House Track, and this pump house will supply water to a facility of some description. I'm not exactly sure what it's for, that one, but that's what that little building is just there. Okay, we'll keep to the left here. It'll be something to do with the lodge or the staff facilities. And you've got to remember that these are working reserves. These are hugely important to the community and to the owners, and there was a couple of tweets I remember glancing past recently that some people were asking about where do the staff live, what do they do, and do we interact with the staff? Absolutely yes to both. Well, sorry, the first question is they live on the reserve most of the time, or in the surrounding community, and they would probably work here on a shift, a rotational basis, and then go home to their community on their weeks off, and it all depends on the lodge and the philosophy, or sorry, the roster that they have, and the reserve. And then, do we interact with the staff and everything? Absolutely. Goodness me. You know, Brian is our sort of resident, not only a fantastic cameraman and great guy, but he organises all the food and puts the order. Hello, boys. Sorry about that. A few waterbuck there, just lying on the road. Lovely. 5 or 6 of them. They don't stick around very often, waterbuck. There's a nice shot just there. They're a bit more skittish. I've had waterbuck before that were much more relaxed than these. I don't know what it is. Whether they're every time we come across waterbuck, they take off a little bit. But they stop that distance. They just don't like being as close as some of the other antelope. Beautiful bull, that one. Gorgeous coloration. Really nice. Those beautiful ridged horns there. They've got quite a woolly look to them as well. Lovely. So yes, do we interact? Brian has to deal with Zanelli, our cook, our chef, who is an extraordinary woman and does amazing food for us. So he has a great relationship with her, and we all interact. We have fun with them, the kitchen staff, and loads of other things. Just let me see where I am. Okay, we're very, very close. We're going to keep to the right here. That's going to take us down a bit beside the airstrip. To yeah, we have great fun with the staff and the team and get to know them, and really lovely to share stories about what you've been doing during the day and loads of other things. And the trackers as well. Many of the trackers and guides either grew up in this area, particularly the trackers, the Shangaan trackers. Okay, I might just to get things a little bit tighter, I'm going to go back the other way. It's a long way around that way, but I just want to make sure we get down to the airstrip ever so quickly. Thought we had a bit more. As soon as you stop for a couple of animals, you just eat into your time. It's no problem. We're just finished probably on the airstrip, and then we're going to okay. I think we're a little bit tight on time, guys. It's you might just miss out on getting the airstrip, but I'll have a look for you, and of course if there was anything we'll let you know, but I'll just have a scan and keep my ear to the ground about that for the coming this afternoon. But I'm going to wind up anyway and say thank you very, very much for everything today, sticking with us and coming on board. It's always great to have you. From Brian and I, we'll say farewell, and also if you've got any questions, send them to us on questions@wildearth.tv or tweet us at #SafariLive. We're on the airstrip, folks, and we'll have a look, and you'll hear about anything if we find it. But have a great day, and we'll see you this afternoon at 4. Cheers.
Welcome back, folks. So, in screen you can see Brian, the young wildebeest mother, with a very characteristic horn that droops down more than normal. And we have a really beautiful scene here with the herd of wildebeest that have provided us with 4 births of these adorable little creatures. Oh, look at that. Just a few small grunts from the calf, and the mother came straight up to her, or him. He was obviously saying, "Mom, I'm hungry." And they really do have to work those udders to get the milk out, as you can see there. That, and I'm sure a combination of the fact that it simply loves it, but the mother's had enough. Obviously it's not feeding hours. It appears that all the youngsters are still here that were in the herd yesterday, which is great news. They've all survived the night, and two of them, Peter and Scott, survived their first night on planet Earth, which must have been an interesting one, considering all of the rain and thunder and lightning. They've got a hell of an entry, and that's evident, obviously, a sleepless and scary night, because this youngster in screen is fast asleep. They've chosen a beautiful shady spot. It is heating up quite a lot now, even though we do have a cool breeze today. They've chosen a shady spot in a very open area, which would put them in a scenario where it would be very difficult for any predator to creep up on them. And that's quite common with your herbivores. They like to sleep either at night or in the day in open clearings where they could see any kind of danger approaching. How lucky we are to have witnessed those two birds. I really am happy that eventually, after 6 years of guiding, I've managed to see my first wildebeest birth. And just to recap on today, from my side, it's been great getting to know this property. It really is a beautiful, beautiful piece of wilderness within the Sabi Sands. And within the Sabi Sands, you find that the terrain does change quite drastically. So relative to where I was in the south a few years back, this is very different, a bit more heavily wooded, but I really do enjoy the scenery and terrain around here. It's also been very useful for me to get to know the roads. So thank you for bearing with me during this learning phase, and I'm sure you had a good time with Hayden. It sounds like you had a wonderful sighting with the elephants, which I'm happy for you guys about. And I can't thank you all enough for tuning in and watching us. So yes, it's important that you realize our gratitude for your support out here, all of the questions. It really does help make this our time easier and our days interesting, because the more questions we get posted, the more we can branch off and understand what the individuals that are watching us are interested in, and that way we can try and tailor make this safari as much as possible for you guys. This afternoon it's going to be Peter and Hayden out again, so I'm sure they've got some good plans in store for you. I will potentially be out exploring, looking for some things on foot, or potentially learning some roads. Folks, thank you so much for following us today, and we will see you tomorrow morning.